It's that time of year again, the offseason. That means it's time for the 2024 edition of Fixing the New York Jets. Here's what I would do if I was the GM.
J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets!
Before we hop into my mock offseason, I want to let you guys know we are hosting a first-round watch party for the NFL Draft down at the main event on Long Island. So if you guys are interested in that, get your tickets down below at talkingjets.com. But let's hop into our video of the day. And this is a little mock offseason. I love doing this. Every year I do this. It's like 6 years now that I've been doing this. And we're going to go through a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to go over the salary cap space that we have. We're going to go cuts, re-signs, free agents, trades, and a full 7-round mock draft. So before we get into that, I got to let you guys know my goals. My goals for this offseason. We got to fix the offensive line. We got to get a high-end wide receiver number 2, backup quarterback, because we saw what happened this past year. / we got to figure out how we're going to trade Zach, and then balance our all-in nature of this season with, some hope for the future. That's not just a 1 year and done kind of situation. So before we go into that, we got to look at our salary cap space. Over the cap has us at about $4.9 million. Now we are going to have a few voided contracts that are coming off our books that are still going to hit our books, I guess, as far as like dead cap hits. So Dwayne Brown, Jordan Whitehead, Carl Lawson, and Jefferson, all going to be voided contracts that are going to count against our salary cap, unfortunately. But that is factored into that 4.9 number. Cut-wise, we're going to make a few cuts. We're going to cut Laken Tomlinson. I'm putting a little star next to his name just because I would wait till after June 1st to make this cut. So that way you have some offensive linemen in the pipeline via free agency, via the draft. And then you can make a cut in like training camp, for instance, after one of those players has beaten him out, or maybe he tries to restructure or something along those lines. But he's going to be a $13 million cap savings. So we're going to cut him. CJ Uzama, and then we got some lower end, $1 million contracts in Bawden, Hayes, Taylor, and Hector. So that creates a little bit of cap space. Not a whole lot of action going on the cut front here. Then you go into some restructures. There's going to be some restructures that we can hand down. I would like to restructure both John Franklin Myers and CJ Mosley. You could create some really good cap space. Their current cap hits $16.4 million and $21.5 million. That is far too high for these guys in particular, but I'm okay kicking the can a little bit down the line and stretching out our Super Bowl window with leaders on our team, and I think both these guys deserve to come back. You can create new cap hits of $6.8 and $10.9 million. That would save $10.5 for Mosley and $9.2 for JFM. And then on the other side of things, with restructures, you can call these guys contract extensions. You could call them restructures. I'm just going to restructure just for the sake of doing easy math and stuff like that. Tyler Conklin, going to restructure him, making his new cap hit $4.9 million, saving $3.9 off the cap. And DJ Reed, I'd love to bring him back on a long-term contract, but at the very least, I would like to renegotiate his deal and push that money back a little bit further because $15.6 million is a little bit more than I would like to pay him for this season. New cap hit, $8.3 million for DJ Reed. Love it. Lock in your guys. Have them here for this Super Bowl window that we're going to, and then figure out the cap in the future after that. It's not really all that bad, and I'll kind of show you where the cap breaks down with all that. We're going to have to trade Zach Wilson. So in this sort of offseason, we're going to project that he's going to get traded for a 2025 6th-round pick. It's going to save us $5.4 million off the salary cap. So we're not going to make the pick this year, but at least you get something. And maybe it's some type of pick swap where it's like, hey, we'll give you a 7th and you give us a 6th. We heard that there were multiple teams involved with this, so maybe there's a mid-round pick swap room. Maybe the Jets can wind up trading a 4th-round pick and Zach Wilson to move up into the 3rd or something along those lines. There's going to be a few opportunities that the Jets can kind of take advantage of. And hopefully we get a little bit more than we were maybe thinking. As far as our cap, this is what it looks like. So when I say push money off into the future, this factors in the money that's being pushed off into the future. We have made $64.8 million in salary cap space for the 2024 season, and then you're still over $100 million in each of the next 3 years. So I have no issues with where we're sitting at financially on a long-term future as well. Now, without further ado, we got to look at our own team and figure out who we're bringing back. This is the list of free agents that we're slated to have. I would like to bring back a few key pieces on here. Connor McGovern, I think, was a critical piece to the offensive line over the last few years. He stays healthy. Aaron Rodgers wanted to take snaps from him, wanted him to be the starting center. We got him for $1.9 million, I think, last year. Would love to bring him back. Kenny Yeboah, a restricted free agent. Bring back the tight end. Green Bean would love that. Chuck Clark, didn't get to see him, got injured last year. Would like to bring him back to the safety room. Solomon Thomas, Jets Man of the Year, Walter Payton Man of the Year, I believe, if that's right. Would love to bring him back. I thought he brought a really nice, refreshing breath of fresh air. That's a weird way to say that, but He subbed in. I really liked him a lot. Ashton Davis seems to always be around the ball. I would love to bring Ashton back to be either competing for a starting role or being that third safety that we consistently see. Javelin Guidry, slot cornerback, restricted free agent. Would love to bring him back. And then the three main special teams guys, Zerline, Morstead, Hardy, they got to come back. Absolutely musts on the special team side if you want to keep up where that is all trending in the right direction. Now, I have Bryce Huff highlighted red. That's because I don't think the Jets are going to be able to retain him. I would love to bring him back. Like, if there's some way to do it. My previous mock off season, I had us franchise tagging him and just keeping him, but I don't know if that's actually going to be the case. Now, as far as the contracts that we'd be dishing out, this is what I'm thinking. Connor McGovern, $1.9 million, the same deal he signed last year. Chuck Clark, $1.4 million. I believe that's roughly what he got last year, maybe a slight tick up. If you want to knock that back a bit, totally fine. Guidry is a restricted free agent tender. Morstead, Zerline, and Hardy get contracts that match their contracts from last year. Solomon Thomas comes back on a 1-year, $3 million deal. Yaboa on a $2.8 million deal. I believe that one was a tender as well, if I'm not mistaken. And then Bryce Huff walking. That's what I'm trying to say. $23.3 million is what the franchise tag is slated to be. I would love to maybe put the transition tag on him at $20.1 million and then allow another team to write the contract for him. And then you have this ability to match the contract at the very least. I have this big fear that Bryce Huff is going to wind up walking for nothing because I don't know if Joe Douglas is going to invest that much into the defensive line, given that we just traded up for Jermaine Johnson 2 years ago and drafted Will McDonald this past year, just paid Quinnen Williams a ton of money last year as well. So I get the feeling Bryce Huff is going to walk and we're not going to see anything from it. And I'm not too thrilled about it. Not going to lie. Pretty irritated by that. As far as fifth-year options go, Zach Wilson got traded. No one's picking up that fifth-year option. At least I don't think so. And then Elijah Vera Tucker is going to have a $16.3 million option. We are going to accept that. It is a hefty price tag, but I want to accept it now and then hopefully extend him to knock that cap hit down a little bit. He's getting paid the price of a premium offensive tackle because fifth-year options for offensive linemen in the first round are not divvied up by position. It's all one offensive lineman wage scale. So you're paying a premium for a guard. That's why it's always not great maybe to take a guard or a center in the first round here. So some things to maybe be mindful of. As far as free agents go, we're going to have a lot of options. We got to figure out offensive line. We got to figure out wide receivers, all this good stuff. What we're sitting at right now, rolling into free agency, I said $45.8 million, just enough to play with. Now, as far as wide receivers go, I am making a few thoughts here or predictions. I think T. Higgins, Mike Evans, and Michael Pittman are all going to get the franchise tag. I don't think any of them are actually hitting the open market. So that's how we're sort of operating. The first thing I want to do is look at wide receiver. And right now, the New York Jets are not really seen as a desirable location to go to because of the high taxes, because of the turmoil with the coaching staff, because of the turf, all this different stuff. Calvin Ridley seems to be the top option, but everyone is probably going to be going after Calvin Ridley. So I think the Jets are going to have to find their receiver via trade. And you guys have heard me bring this up before, and that is Cortland Sutton, the 6'4" wide receiver from Denver. He's got 2 years left on his contract, $27.6 million. I would love to throw a 2025 conditional pick based on performance. $13.6 million this year, $14 million next year. I like this contract a lot. This is someone that I think has, the perfect size profile to what I want. Like in my mind, I would love a T. Higgins or a Mike Evans because of their massive size, but unfortunately, not the case. He had 10 touchdowns this past year, so he had a really, really good season. Now, he knows Nathaniel Hackett from last year, and admittedly, while doing research on this, he posted an apology form for Russell Wilson, and one of the lines on there was, you got to check mark all the boxes. So he says, the media convinced me that Russ was the problem, not Hackett, as like one of the tick boxes. So maybe there's a situation where he doesn't love Nathaniel Hackett, and this is maybe more of a pipe dream. But at the same time, I'm sure he would really like having Aaron Rodgers throw him the ball, and prior to his time in Denver, obviously, Hackett and Rodgers had 2 MVP seasons. So I'm not too concerned about this. He's a captain on his team. I would love to bring him in here to complement Garrett Wilson. We are going to get another wide receiver as well, a hometown kid. This is going to be Curtis Samuel, the wide receiver from Washington. I really like him. He's from Brooklyn. 3 years, $34.6 million, $4.6 million cap hit this year, 11.3 next year, and 18.3 the final year. You probably wind up cutting him after 2 seasons. I like this a lot. I think this is a significant upgrade over Randall Cobb. And now all of a sudden, your wide receiver room is Garrett Wilson, Cortland Sutton, and Curtis Samuel. I think you're going to be feeling pretty good about that heading into the draft. Now we got to look at our offensive line side of things. Popular name that I see among Jet fans, Kevin Zeitler, former guard of the New York Giants, now former guard of the Baltimore Ravens, but maybe he wants to come back to New York. I want to give him 2 years, $15 million here. It would be absolutely awesome to get someone in here that like could actually stay healthy. This guy's played over 1,000 snaps. I think it was, 9 of 12 seasons. He's played over 1,000 snaps. He was ranked in terms of pass blocking grade, 81.5. He is above Quentin Nelson and Zach Martin. So those are two pretty high up there names for a guy that you could get for like sort of pennies on the dollar here. And like I said, he's played in New York in the past. So I would love this type of move for the New York Jets. Bring in someone that knows the area and is maybe looking for a ring at this particular point in time as well. And we're not done because we got to figure out the tackle solution. And like I said, the Jets are not necessarily going to be a highly attractable area for offensive linemen, given all the woes that we've had. And Keith Carter's not necessarily, cutting us any slack. So maybe the Jets have to make a trade, or maybe someone shakes free. I think Bakhtiari could be an option. I think that's really going to be, a popular name that a lot of Jet fans throw in there. I'm going to go a little bit of a different route. This one's going to be a cut casualty or a camp cut salary cap casualty, whatever. Garrett Bowles is slated to have a big cap hit for the Denver Broncos. And the Denver Broncos currently are $24 million over their salary cap. They're going to cut Russell Wilson. They're going to be like $65 million over the salary cap at that point. So if you cut Garrett Bowles, it saves them $16 million. $16 million. That's a lot of money. I want to give him a 3-year, $46.9 million deal, $20 million signing bonus. It would be a $9 million cap hit, $12 million cap hit, $17.9 million cap hit, and then 2 void years beyond that to kind of stretch out some of that signing bonus money. He is 32 years old. His pass blocking grade was an 83.6. 83.5? No, 83.6. This past year, one of the best in the NFL. Number 7 in the NFL, actually. He beats Penei Sewell, Trent Williams, and Lane Johnson in terms of pass blocking grade. So not that shabby. And like I said, he's a $16 million salary cap cut for the Denver Broncos. They're going to have to lose some starters because of the salary cap hell that they're in right now. And maybe the Jets can take advantage of that. I would like to see that. Next up, we got to look a little bit at backup quarterback. There's going to be a few options that people are going to like really gravitate towards. I've made a video about the backup quarterbacks and everything, and I like a lot of them. But I get the feeling that we're going to be locking in on Ryan Tannehill. He's got so many Titans head coaches coming in, or not Titans head coaches, Titans positional coaches. There's familiarity. I don't think he's going to compete for a starting role anywhere, so maybe a backup chance to have a Super Bowl. And if Rodgers doesn't perform well, he could be the guy that kind of, he's not going to start. But he has a high floor, right? High floor for Tannehill is kind of exactly where I'm looking at. 81-70 as a starter, 225 yards per game. That's definitely more than, I'm pretty sure that's more than Zach was getting us on a consistent basis. I would be tickled pink with that level of production from your backup. And he has a career 2-to-1 interception ratio, which is exactly what you need when you need to rely on Garrett Wilson, rely on Breece Hall, and your other playmakers, so that way you can get through a few games. The best part of a backup quarterback is that he can, not that he's going to win you a crazy ton of games, but he's got to keep you in the game so your other playmakers can get you involved and he can't make mistakes. 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio makes me feel good. 2 years, $12 million, $5 million signing bonus. Going to be a 3.5 and an $8.5 million cap hit for Ryan Tannehill. Now, as far as our cap, what we're looking at right now, we're sitting at about $17.3 million, $23.1 million for 2025, and then it kind of goes down from there. As far as the salary cap goes for draft picks, the Jets are going to have to sign their own draft picks. I think that works out to about a $4.5 million cap hit off that 17.3. So I'll get to that number a little bit later after the mock draft, and you'll see all the updated slots. But we're going to go into this mock draft, and we got to figure out what we're bringing in. What are we doing here? We're going number 10 overall. This is the 6'6", 300-pounder from Oregon State, Talise Funga. I've been pronouncing his name wrong. Apparently it's Funga, which I don't know where you get an N from in this name, but whatever. Right tackle from Oregon State. He is a team captain. That's very critical for a lot of what the New York Jets want to draft in the first round. You are sending a statement to the rest of your team, letting them know this is the caliber player. This is the kind of player that the New York Jets are all about. 1,500 snaps at right tackle. He's purely right tackle, so you're not really going to be doing any left tackle stuff. Violent, son of a batch of cookies. In terms of run blocking, this guy is a road grader. Breece Hall's going to love running behind this dude. He's playing at the Senior Bowl, coached by Jeff Ulbrich, and he's on our team, on the national team. So Jeff is going to be able to throw all these different defensive formations at him from a Jets defense perspective and see if this guy can actually handle it. He had the 83rd strength of schedule, but as far as we can tell from the Senior Bowl, it sounds like this guy's absolutely dominating, so I don't think the strength of schedule is really going to be much of a concern. And then 12 career penalties over the course of his career. By comparison, Mekhi Becton had 22, according to Pro Football Focus, just this past year when you account for penalties that were declined or offset, as well as the ones that were accepted. This guy is a stud. I would be absolutely all over drafting him in the first round. I'd be totally pumped on this. Now, in round 3, because we don't have a second round pick unless something happens here, I would love to go after the former current Hall of Fame wide receiver's son, Jerry Rice's son, Brendan Rice out of USC. He's having himself a day down at the Senior Bowl. 6'3", 210 pounds. He's got sticky hands. He is able to catch the ball away from his body, and he can turn upfield. This guy is an elite route runner. Last year, he had 45 receptions, 791 yards, and 12 touchdowns. He plays 88% of his snaps out wide and 12% in the slot. So he's going to mainly be your outside wide receiver here. Explosive off the line. Like I said, he can absolutely get separation very quickly. High caliber body control. Draft projection is a 3rd round pick, so it's right in this wheelhouse. Now, it is possible that you might have to move up to get him in the event that his stock does continue to rise. We'll see what happens at the combine, but as of recording this video, 74 and 67 are where he ranks on the big board. So he's right at, we're sitting at 72. So somewhere in that ballpark. I would love to get him. I think this is a home run type move. And now all of a sudden you've got a wide receiver room with Cortland Sutton, Curtis Samuel, Garrett Wilson, and Brendan Rice. Oh, Aaron Rodgers, eat your heart out. I would be all on board with this one. The Jets have 2 4th-round picks. I want to take a look at some offensive linemen. This is someone I had us drafting a while back. Zack Center, the right guard from Michigan. Now, he broke his leg back at the end of, I think it was the end of November. And, November 25th. Not good, but he's going to be ready for training camp, and he'll probably be able to do some participation in the combine. I don't know if he's going to be able to do, the full workouts and whatnot, but this guy's got over 2,500 snaps at right guard. He allowed only 5 pressures in 2023, and 9 career penalties, had 0 in 2023. This guy is absolutely a mauler. Like I said, big board wise, 98, 95, 93, 117 across the board. But does it's going to be interesting to see, does he rise up into the 3rd round? I think if he's healthy towards the combine, I think it is something that you could be a little bit concerned with. But if he's there in the 4th round, oh man, I'm running up to the podium. This is someone that could sit behind a Zeitler for a year if he needed to. And hopefully you groom him and bring him along slowly, and then you swap him out. Then you got him and AVT as your bookend. Not bookend, but I guess interior guards and whatnot. Sign me up, baby. For the 2nd 4th-round pick, I want to take a look at the backup quarterback position, specifically quarterback number 3, high upside guy, Michael Pratt. Matt O'Leary, eat your heart out. I know you're high on him. Quarterback out of Tulane. He's 6'3", 220 pounds. He is a 4-year starter and a dual threat quarterback. So he can run and he can throw the ball. I really like this a lot. Last 2 years, he has 49 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, so a wild touchdown to interception ratio. He has 5 penalties in 4 years and 0 in 2023. And as far as quarterback 3 goes, with Tannehill here as quarterback 2, this kid could actually sit and learn from the great Aaron Rodgers. There's no pressure to put him in like you had with Zach Wilson when someone gets hurt. You're going to be able to really give this kid the redshirt year that he needs, and then hopefully sit behind Rodgers forever, possibly. This is what I'm hoping for. Look, high upside guy. I'm all about drafting a quarterback in the 4th round. I think it makes a lot of sense from a few different perspectives. I don't think the Jets are going to go and draft a high, 1st round, 2nd round, 3rd round type quarterback because of the willingness to win or need to win right now from our coaching staff and everything. We head to the 6th round. Jets don't have a 5th round pick. We're getting another familiar name. Might give some of you PTSD. And it's not Frank Gore Sr., it's Frank Gore Jr., his son. This dude almost played football with his kid. That's how old Frank Gore is and Jr. is. So 6'2", 185 pounds. This guy he dominated the Shrine Bowl. I really, really like watching Frank Gore run. 757 snaps at running back in 4 years. He has 3,985 yards and 26 touchdowns. He did have 8 fumbles and 7 penalties over the course of 4 years. So penalty-wise, I'm not concerned, but fumble-wise, maybe that's a little bit of an issue that you have to keep an eye on. Jets are going to have to figure out some sort of complement to Breece Hall and Izzy Abanikanda. Could this be the option? He runs hard. If he's got the shelf life and the health history of his father, this would be a home run here. Douglas has taken a running back in every single draft, so I do fully expect him to draft a running back in this year's draft as well. As far as his Big board rankings sitting somewhere around 165 to 180. Jets are sitting at 186 right now. Anything can happen. Right around there. Great Pro Football Focus grades as well. Sign me up, baby. Frank Gore Jr. Next up, Jets have 3 picks in the 7th round. So at this point, I'm not expecting any one of these guys to start at all. I'm taking some high swing, upside swings here. The first guy I want to bring in, pick 252, Jordan Jefferson, defensive tackle out of LSU. Jets lost Al Woods. They're going to need some run-stuffing defensive tackles in the future. Maybe we could sit and let this guy learn and groom behind the scenes here. 6'4", 323 pounds. He transferred from West Virginia University. That's why you're seeing the highlights from West Virginia. Over 1,500 snaps at defensive tackle. He is a Senior Bowl participant. He actually got in a really heated exchange in one-on-ones with, I think it was Christian Hayes, the offensive tackle that actually slid in to play a little bit of center. And they were like pushing each other back and forth. He drove him back. I wouldn't say he won the rep. I would say he lost that rep probably, but like ripped Hayes' helmet off and threw it. So a little bit of a hot button guy potentially. So maybe you got to watch out for some penalties. But in his college career, that wasn't the case. He only had two career penalties in his entire collegiate career. He's known as a run-stopping defensive tackle, so he's not going to be that pass rusher that, if you're looking for that kind of thing. Last year had 15 stops and 7 pressures. Now, I don't know what to tell you. I can't really say like this late in the game. Defensive tackle, I just want someone that can eat up space. Let all the other defensive guys, break through. The next guy I want to take a look at in the 7th round, pick number 253, Kenny Logan Jr., safety out of Kansas. He's 6 feet tall, 213 pounds. He's a real chess piece. This guy's played all over the defensive backfield, over 1,000 snaps in the box, over 1,200 snaps as a free safety, and then in the slot as a nickel, 442 snaps. So this guy can get moved around all over the place. He has good instincts in zone coverage, even though he's primarily known as like a man corner. He's locked down in the red zone. From what I've gathered, he does not allow fade routes to go over top of him. That's the kind of the scouting report I read on him. Has a tendency to lower his shoulder, so he's not going to wrap up as well as maybe we'd want him to. Maybe a Jordan Whitehead type of situation where this guy's trying to strip the ball out constantly and then accidentally missing a tackle from here and there. So could drive you a little bonkers, but at least it's a young player, not a seasoned vet like Whitehead. And only 4 career penalties over the course of, I think this was 4 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of things to like about Kenny Logan. He was a transfer from, no, he did not transfer. I'm pretty sure he was at Kansas all 4 years. Then our final pick in the 7th round, I'm looking at Dwight McGlothern, the cornerback from Arkansas. The Jets don't have any corners technically under contract in 2025. So you got to bring someone in, and this could be a high upside type player, 6'2", 185 pounds. He has nearly 2,000 snaps at cornerback. He transferred from LSU. 9 touchdowns, 8 interceptions in his career. Man corner with good zone instincts is what I was told. Great versus the run, or not great versus the run, focuses on stripping the ball. I think I'm spinning myself in circles with Kenny Logan and McGlothern. I'm doing too much stuff in the backfield right now. That's all right. 14 career penalties. He had 0 in 2023. It is an area of concern because I think I'm pretty sure he had 10 penalties last year, like 2022. So that's not great to see. But 259th on the big board for NFL Draft Buzz. So he's sitting right around the same pick that we're going to be selecting here. And he's got a really good pass coverage grade. This is someone that I think you could develop alongside Sauce, alongside Reed, let him learn, and then just see if it turns into anything in the future. So I'm pretty high on letting guys sit and learn and develop from premium starters, because then they learn how to practice the right way. They don't get thrown into the fire right away. Get some guys to sit behind. Now, as far as our offseason goes, let's round everything back up. As far as salary cap goes, the Jets are sitting with $13.8 million left in salary cap space for 2024. That allows you to make some in-season moves or just roll it over into next season. If you roll it over into next season, you're sitting over $40 million for cap in 2025. That is plenty to go make some more moves happen. And then if Rodgers retires, then you got to, I guess, figure that stuff out, and you wind up having a rough season. But he's not retiring. He's going to stay here a bunch of time because I just fixed the New York Jets. That's how this is going to work out. As far as our goals, where we sat at the beginning of the season, or beginning of this mock off season, did we fix the offensive line? We added Kevin Zeitler. We added Garrett Bowles. We've added Funga. Talise Funga. And we added Zack Center from Michigan. So we added 4 offensive linemen across the board. Jets gotta bulk up that offensive line. You cannot be victim of the injury bug like you have been the last few years. Backup quarterback, we got Ryan Tannehill. We traded Zach for a 6th-round pick in 2025, and I think we have balanced that all in nature that we wanted to go for a Super Bowl this past year, while also setting us up for the future with some young guys and some potential moving forward with plenty of salary cap space. Guys, I want to hear from you. What did you think of my mock-off season? Do you think certain players aren't going to be there? Do you like other players more than the players that I've drafted? Do you think there's going to be different things happening in free agency, different trades that go on? Let me know in the comment section down below. And don't forget to check out the Talkin' Jets first round draft party down at the main event on Long Island, talkinjets.com. And as always, go Jets.